meeting of the school committee. And again, the first thing I'd like to do is say that this public access to this meeting via WebEx technology is available. Burlington School Committee will hear public comments in person and virtually. Meetings are also broadcast live on Burlington Cable Access TV, and the video audio recordings are being made. Anyone who wants to join the meeting can do so. The meeting number, the access code, is 2335-895-4579, and the password, as it always is Tuesday. All right, so with that, could we please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. While we are honoring the flag, I'd also like to take a moment to honor a former school committee member who has passed. If we could have a moment of silence for Ruth Ann Covino. Thank you. I didn't have the pleasure of working with Ms. Covino, but from all I've heard, she was just a great and caring school committee member, and she will be missed. And her service to the community should be recognized. So, so our best goes out to her family. I'm chairing this evening, as I do every year when the school committee reorganizes. And before we get to that, I do want to make sure that I thank everyone who ran for public office. It's a lot of time to volunteer. No matter the outcome, communities can't function without people being involved. So thank you. Congratulations to those who won, and thank you to everyone else who threw their hat in the ring and made the attempt. Again, communities, public schools especially, can't function without support of the community and people who want to volunteer their time. So thank you all very much. So with that, school committee reorganization, the first position that I'm in charge of is the school committee chair. So I would entertain a motion, a nomination for chairperson. Mr. Foss.
I would like to nominate Mrs. Bond as chair.
Second.
Okay, Mrs. Bond has been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion by the committee? Okay, seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, abstain? So I guess I have to give up the gavel, Ms. Bond, reluctantly, but thank you for this opportunity. Again, that was 5-0-0. Kristen, thank you.
Congratulations, Chair Bond.
She doesn't look anything like a chair.
Doesn't look like a chairman either.
Sure she does.
No, it wasn't you. She started it.
Okay.
Whatever you said, it doesn't
Whatever I
matter.
said.
It's fine. Chair.
I practiced. Hopefully I can correct.
I always like the word chairman instead of chair.
I think Frank Sinatra.
Thank you, Eric. I really appreciate it. I also wanted to thank Tom Murphy for having been the chair prior to me and setting such a good example. I have some big shoes to fill, and also want to thank him for all of his years of service on this committee. I don't think we really got the opportunity to do that last time, and I wanted to recognize that. And before we get started, I also wanted to welcome Ms. Massardo as part of our committee, and I know you spent a lot of time running in the race, and it's a stressful thing to do, so welcome.
Thank you.
All right, so the next thing that we need to do is anyone want to make a nomination for vice chair?
I do. I would like to nominate Carl Foss for vice chair.
I'd like to second that.
So moved. Any discussion? All right. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, 5-0-0. Welcome.
Thank you.
I
All
enjoy
right.
my seat without the cushion.
That's right. She won't let you have that cushion.
Not happening.
All right. So the next thing we need to do is go through the other or more reorganization. of the school committee, school committee or reorganization and assignments. So what I'd like to do is take items 1 through 17.
Hang on
What?
one second.
Yep.
Hey, Bobby? I just got a message, nobody can get into the WebEx.
Hold on one moment. There's a message, no one can get into the WebEx. Okay, I guess I'm going to go ahead and move along while he tries to fix that. So I would like to take the first item, the Recreation Commission position, which is now open because Mr. Murphy is no longer a member, and I want to take that as a separate vote. And then I would like to combine, go through all of 2 through 17, name who we believe is interested in those positions, and then take one vote on all of those. Hopefully it's okay with everyone? Yes.
I'd like to nominate Carl for the Recreation Commission, but I'd also like to say that it's a lot of work. It's you're actually a voting member of the commission, you become a Recreation Commissioner, and
There we go.
evidently
There
they're
they
getting in now.
come. All right.
And I just wanted to be, clear that it's not a simple job. You got meetings to go to. But I would like to nominate Carl for that.
Thank you for the warning.
So again,
I need a second.
anyone second that?
I second that.
Okay,
I thought we
so,
were going to do them in another order, but that's fine.
no, I wanted to do that one first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so moved. So any discussion? All right, so all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? So it's 5-0-0.
Good
All right.
luck with that.
Good. Have fun.
Remember, all organic. And
Right, yes,
school-
I do know
school
that.
grounds.
I'm excited. I read a few of the minutes on the website, on the town website, and I'm excited to get into it. Especially, I don't know if you guys saw that they're building a big tree house at Simon's
Yeah.
pretty soon. I think that's
That
going to be
looks
exciting.
really cool,
Yeah,
doesn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, so
So
the
I have
next,
a question, Chair, Madam Chair.
Yep.
I'm not sure there are a number of positions that Mr. Murphy held that are we going to go through each one individually?
I'm going through each one
Oh,
individually,
okay.
and then we're going to vote
Then
on
we'll
them as a
vote on
whole.
them.
Yes,
Okay.
I'll name the people who
Thank you.
are currently on them and I have spoken to already that want to stay, and then those that are open I'm not sure of, I'll ask. Fair enough?
Thank you. I
Okay.
misunderstood.
All right. So the second one is 2 members to serve as the Academic Review Board. And Ms. Simon, you're currently on that and expressed that you wanted to continue. And we need to replace Mr. Murphy. Is there anyone who might be interested in that position?
Madam Chair, in the past, actually, I was the only one who was attending. It's possible we could do it with just one person. If I wasn't available, we could have an alternate perhaps, but
Ms. Massardo, are you interested in being an alternate?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Perfect. Excellent. So we have Ms. Simon as the main contact and Ms. Massardo as an alternate. So we're going to move ahead, go ahead, take a vote. All in favor?
aye.
Oh, wait a minute.
Oh, wait.
I'm not doing what I said I was
Yeah.
going to do. I'm going to go all
Okay.
the way through, sorry. Okay, let's go to the next one. 2 members to serve on the Sick Leave Bank Committee of the Burlington Education Association. It's been practiced that the superintendent and 1 member of the school committee serve on this committee, but this is the discretion of the members.
I'll
So right
stay
now,
on it.
my understanding is that yes, Dr. Conti and Ms. Monaco are going to stay on that. So that's all set. And 1 member to serve the Sick Bank Committee of the Burlington School Administrators, and I have Ms. Simon as that, and you said you would continue?
Happy to continue.
Okay, so that one's done. We need legislative contact person to the Massachusetts Association of the School Committee. That's Mr. Foss and myself. We're going to stay there, correct? All right. The next one is a Parent Advisory Committee Liaison, and that's Ms. Monaco and myself. We're going to stay on that.
Yes, please.
The next one is a subcommittee to the Select Board. Ms. Monaco said she's going to stay on that, and I'm actually interested in being the second person for that one.
I'm also interested in being on that committee,
Okay,
subcommittee.
Can I just speak to that? The only thing that committee does is meet once for the, yeah, for the guidelines. That's the only thing it does, so it meets once a year.
At this time?
Well, it's kind of up to them, and they only want to meet once a year, so.
I'm interested in being on that.
Okay, so what's the next step, if we're both interested?
You're the chairman.
So we have two.
You get to
So-
figure it out.
Well, okay, so, I mean, I'd like that position, if that's okay, and then maybe next year or the next time around.
Well, I would like the position, so I don't, if you're the chair, so you can appoint yourself.
I'm not sure what the protocol is, so.
I think that the chair makes these appointments. Does that sound right to other people?
Yes,
What'd you say?
the chair makes the appointments.
Okay, so I'm going to appoint myself in that position. So it will be Ms. Monaco and myself on the Subcommittee for Select Board. The next one is Subcommittee to Ways and Means, and that's Ms. Monaco, and it was Mr. Murphy. I don't know if there would be anyone else who's interested. Are you interested in that one, Martha?
I would be interested in that one.
Anyone else?
Are you interested? Oh, okay.
Martha has expressed an
Yes,
interest in the past.
Before, yeah. So we'll put Ms. Simon on that.
Okay.
And the next one is the Subcommittee to the Board of Health, and we have Mr. Foss and Ms. Simon, and that I understand we're going to keep it the same. The Subcommittee to the Recreation Committee, we have myself, and it was Tom.
Should be Carl.
Pardon me?
Should be Carl because he's on the commission.
Right,
now.
well, I was going to say, did you want to be the second one?
That's fine.
Yeah, okay, so we'll put Mr. Foss there. And then we have the Subcommittee to the Planning Board, and we have Mr. Foss, and we had Mr. Murphy. Is there anyone else who would be interested in that position?
I can do that one.
Okay. All right, then we have the Subcommittee for Wellness, and we have Ms. Simon and Ms. Monaco, and Dr. Connie is the alternate, and we all want to stay the same?
I'm willing to give that to someone who wants it. I haven't been especially active with that committee, so I'm happy to give it up if there's anyone who wants it. Melissa, you interested?
I'm interested in the next one.
Okay.
What's
Yeah,
next?
that one
Okay.
I've already,
Okay.
don't worry about the next one.
Okay.
I've got your back on that one.
I'll stay on if nobody wants it. I'm just saying if someone does want it, you can have it.
Again, historically, usually Dr. Conti and I would attend if we wanted to have him be, Dr. Conti, would you like to be the member, not the alternate? And maybe Mrs. Monaco could be the alternate? Is that something that makes sense, or you,
No,
no?
well, he's the superintendent and it's
Yep.
school committee members.
Okay, but he's listed here, so, okay,
Yeah.
that's fine.
All right,
So you,
we'll leave it as is.
okay?
Make of it that.
Yeah.
Subcommittee for Transportation, it's myself, and then it used to, and Chris, Ms. Monaco.
Melissa
and-
is welcome to that.
Right, and since you're already on a committee, we thought you might like to take that spot.
Love it.
Okay. Okay, and then the Audit Committee, that was also Mr. Murphy, and I believe Ms. Monaco has expressed an interest in that?
Yes.
All right. Then we have the PTO representatives, and Fox Hill is myself and Ms. Monaco, and we'd like that to remain the same. Memorial is Mr. Foss and Ms. Simon, remain the same. Pine Glen, there's an opening for that. Are you interested?
Sure.
Okay. Ms. Massardo?
Is that where your kids go?
And then we also have an open position at Francis Wyman. We have Ms. Monaco, and are you interested in that as well?
Sure.
Then Marshall Simons Middle School is Ms. Simon and myself. We're going to keep that the same. BHS is Mr. Foss and Ms. Monaco, and BECC is Ms. Monaco. Number 16 is the Burlington Youth and Family Services. Ms. Simon?
I'd like to continue with that.
Okay. And then number 17 is Disability Access Commission, which is Ms. Simon and Ms. Monaco. So we're going to keep that the same. So what I'd like to do is take a vote on accepting items number 2 through 17 under the assignments as presented just a few minutes ago.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion? Okay.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? 500. Next is,
I'm sorry, if I could make a comment about the assignments?
Yes.
About the assignments. Some people may remember that last year I proposed that we revisit the configuration of our subcommittees and liaisons, and the consensus of the majority of the school committee last year didn't want to have that, didn't want to change any of it. I would like to bring forward in the future that discussion again to see, because I think there are a number of subcommittees that aren't really acting as subcommittees and maybe need a different name. There are also new open meeting laws regarding subcommittees and posting and minutes. So I would like us to have that as a discussion in the future.
okay, duly noted.
Yes.
And then next items are the appointments, Dr. Connie, the school committee designee to the lab.
Yes, that's your decision, but I've been doing it for 14 years, so I'm assuming
Like you to comment.
I would do it again.
Yes.
I move that Dr. Conti be the school committee designee to the lab collaborative.
Second.
Any questions? Any comments? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 500. The next one is the central office sexual harassment complaint management facilitators. And I believe that's
Dr. Conti.
Dr. Connie.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We'd like to suggest Joanne Faust, our Human Resource Director, and Assistant Superintendent Larkin, as we've had in the past.
Okay. Anyone want to make a motion? Chris?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any questions or any more discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? 500. Okay, the next one is the coordinator for non-discrimination compliance.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Again, the Coordinator for Non-Discrimination Compliance. That includes Civil Rights and Title IX. And again, it would be the same team, the Human Resource Director, Joanne Faust, and Assistant Superintendent Larkin.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? I'm in favor, so 500. Okay, the next one is the school committee secretary.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Kristen Downey has agreed to take us through the end of the year. And so we'll have to have a conversation, but again, she's been doing an awesome job. Kristen, thank you so very much. So I think we're just reorganizing in April, but my recommendation is that Kristen continue as long as she is willing. So I'll say that.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any more discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? I'm in favor, 500. All right, so we've got that one out of the way. Okay, and next item up is the approval of the warrant.
So moved.
Second.
Excellent. And any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? I'm in favor, so 500. Okay, next item is the approval of the minutes, and we have 3 of them to approve, so we'll go through them separately. So is there a motion to approve the minutes from 3/8/22?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay.
Just one comment. Mrs. Downey, I really appreciate the formatting and the addition of visuals and everything. It's just, it's really nice to read, so thank you very much for all your efforts.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? I'm in favor, so 500. We're going to now try and approve the minutes from 3:15:22. Anyone who wants to make a motion to approve as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
I'm gonna stay in on this one.
Okay, all opposed? And one abstention, so 401. Okay, the minutes for 3:22:22, is there a motion to approve as presented?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, 401. All right. So the next item up is public participation, and this can be done through WebEx access or in person. Just a friendly reminder that each person is limited to 3 minutes. Is there anybody in WebEx who would like or is holding their hand up? No? Anyone in the audience who would like to come up? All right, that one's down too. Excellent. All right, next item up is information reports, subcommittee reports. And I know Brooke has a track meet.
Yes.
Right? Correct, so we don't have our student representative here. And any other subcommittees? Mr. Foss?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Town DEI Subcommittee presented briefly to the Select Board yesterday at their regular meeting and presented a update to the town mission statement, which was ultimately approved. Our next meeting as a subcommittee is April 27th after school vacation, and we're encouraging anyone who's interested to attend. It's all remote, and the information can be found on the town website.
Excellent, thank you.
Thanks.
Ms. Simon, any updates from your committees?
I don't have any
subcommittees?
committee updates, thank you.
Okay, and as far as transportation, we're actually going to have discussion later on, so we'll give an update on that later. All right.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
just for the, Nicole, I'm just trying to think, is Roger on the call? Bob, have you seen Roger? Roger, can we go over some dates? We have a subcommittee tomorrow night, is that correct?
Thursday night, 14th, at 5:30 in the small conference room there at the high school. And also on the 28th at 5:30, same place, in person only, I think this time. And then the full Ways and Means for review of all school items is on May 4th, sometime after 7 o'clock in the main meeting room in Town Hall.
Yes, Ms.
Roger, you want these meetings in person?
But please, yes.
Bring in the oatmeal?
No, thanks.
All right, any other, the next item is Ways and Means. Is there anything else that you would like to discuss, Mr. Riggs?
No,
Good?
I'd like to raise the question that if two members of the school committee will be attending that subcommittee, we need to post it as well, because we are a subcommittee of the school committee. So, Dr. Conti, would you arrange for that to be posted? The Ways and Means School Subcommittee meeting,
Yep.
as well as the main one, in case two of us go to that one.
Yes.
So there's 3 meetings that Roger mentioned, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
yeah, I'm sorry for the late notice. For the meeting on Thursday, because it's after 5:30. But
Does it have
thank
to
you
be,
for respecting the open meeting law.
Does that mean only one of us should
does it have
attend
to be
it?
posted if it's only 2 members?
Yes, because 2 members are the subcommittee according to what we just voted tonight. So I and you and I
Yeah,
are, so
yeah.
maybe only one of us should go to the meeting this week, and you and I can work it out later?
Or we can just post it and see
No,
how
we
it
can't
goes.
post it, it's not 48 hours anymore, notice.
It's 46.
Whatever.
So, what?
A point of clarification.
Yep.
If you two, as the subcommittee, attend, then it needs to be posted. But what if, for example, you attended and I attended? Would that also?
Yes,
It would?
yeah.
Okay.
It's just two committee members in general is what does it.
Yeah,
Okay.
Well,
in fact, it's
it's-
questionable whether you need to post it unless 3 people go.
No, no, that's not accurate.
I know.
According to what I learned from the town council, if somebody's not on the subcommittee, I don't know the answer to that. I am not sure that it means we do or don't have to post. I'd have to look that up. But if 2 of us who are on the subcommittee is 2 people. If 2 of us go, we are a quorum.
So Town
So-
Hall 1 has been posting all their subcommittee
But-
meetings, I know.
Yes, and town hall's posting it for the Ways and Means Committee, but the school committee has to post it as a school committee meeting. And you know what, for the next meeting, I'd also be willing to try to summarize the things I think are new and different from the training I went to, and if we need to have a separate training for us, we can do that. But it's related to my concern about the way we list and name our subcommittees. But so, Chris, you and I can figure out which one of us will go this week.
Unless Roger wants to change the date.
Well-
Roger, would you rather have one of us or change the date?
It's been kind of hard to schedule this particular one because school vacation week has been off limits. So I'd like to keep this meeting.
Because I have other things that are competing. No?
You can go, and I'll go to the next
The
one.
we can both go to the next one because we'll
Right.
remember to post them. Okay, thank you for pointing that out, Roger.
Excellent. We done?
And you said it's at 5:30?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
I'll forward you the email.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, the next item is under learning, and it's a draft of the school calendar. That's the second reading, Dr. Conti?
I believe it is the second reading, so you've seen a copy of this. Just for the committee, obviously, we've made some calendar changes this year, and I don't like making calendar changes because people plan, so we made obviously a change with upcoming Good Friday. I think we made a change with the day after winter break because of the surging numbers of positive cases that we had with COVID. So I think there are sometimes events that would cause us to do that. I do think it's important to get at least what we know out for the starting dates to families. There may be some adjustments that we need to make. I'm presenting what I'm calling a religiously neutral calendar, and that no dates are recognized. But if the committee wants to make an alteration, you can certainly do that with the second reading. But I do think it's important that at least our initial presentation to the committee be as it is. I guess I'm calling it religiously neutral, but you understand what I'm saying. We're not recognizing any denominations of significant days. Our employees, or most of our employee groups, I would have to go through every contract, do have religious protections in terms of paid religious leave. So I think the committee would have some flexibility as to whether they recognize those days or not. I think we would honor all employees' desire to worship as they'd like, given the work calendar. So here's the draft calendar for next year.
Any discussion?
Oh, yeah.
Ms. Monaco?
Oh, yeah, lots of discussion on this one. First of all, I noticed that all the staff development days have changed since the first draft. Is that correct? Or most of them have changed? Or maybe it's only some of them, but they've changed. You with me?
Yes, I think we had 2 in January and 2 in March. We've been working with the Joint Labor Management Committee, who responded to the calendar and to the dates, and I believe this calendar incorporates the feedback that we got from that committee.
Okay, well, my impression, I don't know how to say this exactly, but for any parents watching, I know parents are used to having a couple of days together, and many families take it as a mini vacation, and in the winter they go skiing or they do something. These days are all separated. So in January, there's Wednesday the 18th, and then Wednesday the 25th. And then in March, it's I just would like to point out the fact that it's a change from what parents are used to, and it may be a disappointment to some parents and families. I don't know if you want to give this another, if you want to call it a first reading again and give it more time, or if you are committed to this calendar. The other thing I want to say is that relative to Good Friday, the problem with having school on Good Friday is that the majority of both staff and students happen to be Christian in this community. So what happens is each year, we don't get enough staff showing up to run school, and we have to cancel it at the last minute. I understand the whole issue about religious neutrality. On the other hand, I know that in some communities where the staff and students are predominantly Jewish, sometimes they have some of the Jewish holidays off. What I'm suggesting with this particular holiday is that anyone who is or is familiar with Christianity understands that Good Friday, between the hours of 12 and 3, are the most sacred time of the year. So I completely understand any teachers or families who don't want to be in school at that time. And simply for practical reasons, I think if we don't make it a day off, as it used to be until a couple of years ago, every year we're going to have not enough people, and we're just going to have to call it off at the last minute and extend the calendar year. So I'm not trying to push anything religious. I just think practically it makes sense for that not to be a school day in this particular community.
Again, Madam Chair, just for anyone looking at the calendar, my understanding is Good Friday next year is on April 7th. So if you would, if that's,
It is. Yeah, I know. I already knew that.
Anyone else want to make any comments? Ms.
Can I comment?
Masardo?
Are we able to have the teachers put in for that request prior to the school year? I think other districts, they're allowed to make the religious requests, but they have to make it ahead of time rather than the 2 weeks before that happened this year. I think that might help with the staffing.
we receive a lot of the requests for religious leave very early in the year from many different denominations. There's nothing in the contract that says there's, they can't make that request within a 2-week window. We would respectfully ask that people give us as much notice as early as possible. But I'm not sure we could restrict anyone who would request that day within a month or so of the date. So again, I'm not sure there's any language that could do that. We could certainly, again, make that appeal. So we could do that.
So do we want to table this up? Ms. Simon?
I wanted to comment on the spacing of the professional development days. I have a different perspective than Mrs. Monaco's. I think that the purpose of the professional development days is to be as effective as possible for our teachers to receive really good professional development. We spent a lot of time in our contract negotiations talking about how to present professional development, and the teachers have repeatedly said that they'd like to spread it out. There's Dr. Conti helped me with the educational jargon. There's a real advantage. It's been shown by having ongoing, what's the word? The professional development where you learn something, you try it out, you come back, you talk about it, you get feedback.
Perfect.
Okay, so that's what we're talking about. I raised this last year. I don't see that, I'm not sure, Mrs. Monaco, this schedule looks very much the same to me as last year's, so I'm not sure that what you're looking for was in last year's. The 2 days together at before school starts, which I think is helpful. But the other days I would like to see spread out, one day in October and one day in November, and maybe skip December and one day in January and one day in February, you know, I'd like to see the professional development spread out so the teachers can get the benefit of having opportunities to learn new ideas, try new ideas, come back later, talk about it with their colleagues, et cetera. On the other hand, if at the Joint Labor Management Committee, the teachers are saying, we don't want that we want to have 2 in January and 2 in March, and that's the way they want it, I'm not against it. But I'm concerned that, and I'm a little confused, I guess, that they're asking for this ongoing professional development to be spread out throughout the year, but they don't want to spread out the professional development days. So I just wanted to say that.
Maybe they are. I mean, maybe this is where it came from. I have no idea. I'm just thinking about the parents who are used to having 2 together. And,
I don't think they are used to it.
okay.
I don't know.
And the other
Yeah.
thing that comes to my mind is some of the trainings, for instance, some of the Wilson reading method trainings are 2 days. They're not just a day, they're 2 together. And, you know, it's convenient to have the 2 together but I'm not going to die on this hill. I do feel strongly about the practicality of Good Friday, though. I just think it's silly to every year have to call it off because all of our staff wants it off.
I just want to point out, this is the first year that we've had this calendar when we've been in operation in schools. So it's not like it's happened before.
It did. Last year was a
No.
problem, too.
But we ran school last year. There was there were a lot of people out, but didn't we
Yeah,
cover
there are a
school?
lot of people out and substitutes, and
Yep.
in my opinion, it was a wasted day, but that's just my opinion.
I have a question too, Dr. Conti. I'm looking at January, and I see that there are 2 days, one on the 18th and one on the 25th. How come there's not one in February instead of having 2 weeks in a row like that? On a week, one of them is a week that there's a holiday on a Monday.
Again,
I'm just trying to figure out the rationale.
Madam Chair, we absolutely could put them wherever. So my suggestion, because we could do this lots of different ways, is my main concern is to make sure that the start dates for families are set. So we have Labor Day not as late as typical on Monday, September 5th. Friday is off. So looking at the structure, again, we would have teachers reporting on August 25th and 26th. First day for grades 1 through 12 would be August 29th. And then the first day for pre-K and for kindergarten would be September 6th. So if we could,
Just vote that.
no, you don't even need to vote that, but I'm saying I don't see any disagreement with those dates. So I think if we can get that out so parents can start planning. And then I think for the rest of the calendar, let me go back to the Joint Labor Management. Let me bring some of your suggestions. And again, we're not in a rush to do the rest of the calendar, but I think parents are trying to plan their summers and their return. So if we can have a firm start date for grades 1 through 12 on Monday, August 29th, and the kindergarten and preschool on Tuesday, September 6th, and then the return date for staff would be on Thursday, August 25th. So,
Does anyone want to make a motion to accept what he said?
So moved.
And then we'll
So
discuss the rest of it later.
So I'd like to move that we accept the calendar with the start dates set and with option to modify other issues within the calendar.
I'll second that.
Okay, any other discussion?
Can I just
Oh,
make
yes.
one comment? I'm fine with the start dates, but I know, Mr. Larkin, you mentioned last meeting that you wanted to solicit input from the parents. Do you have a mechanism? Because I don't think I saw anything so far. I'm just curious how you wanted to solicit feedback from the parents.
Yeah, it would have to be in the form of a Google form, so that hasn't been sent out. And I do think, again, like, I'm sorry to say this, and like, is the point of professional development, like, to make sure we can back it up to vacation days, or to like get professional. It could be both and, definitely, if we can do the PD on days that are convenient to families, because it is an issue for daycare. But it's a big conversation, so happy to start from scratch on that, to fill those out. And, because I think historically, it's a good time to do that. Even when we talked to the Joint Labor Management Team last time, they were saying, well, we've always done it this way. And I'm like, well, why have we always done it this way? So it's a good time to say, are there certain months that work better, certain days of the week, and we can certainly try to then, fill those dates with that feedback from families. So thank you.
I believe there's one more comment.
Yeah, so Patrick, I didn't actually remember you saying that at the last meeting about parent input, but several parents reached out to me and said, Patrick said he was going to look for parent input. How's he looking for it? When are we going to be able to give it? So I think Melissa's right.
We can put
should
it in the
give
weekly
parents
update this week. We'll put a form in the weekly update
Give
this
them a
week.
chance to respond.
So thank you.
Mr. Foss, I think you said you wanted to make a
Yeah,
comment, too.
please, thank you, Madam Chair. It's just a question. Some of these PD days are also for either elementary or middle and high conference days as well. And so my question, in my experience as an educator, those are typically pinned to a certain kind of a window, sometimes
Yeah.
in the fall,
Yeah.
sometimes in the spring. So I think we have some flexibility, but am I correct in saying that some of those need to kind of stay in general where they are?
Yes,
Okay.
some flexibility, but general timeframe, yes.
Right,
It's
thank you.
It's a good question, too, because, not to belabor this too long, but for high school in particular, I said as the former high school principal, we would always have conference dates after report cards went home the first time. But now, let's face it, grades are, report cards aren't as important as they used to be at the high school level, because the parents are looking at the grades on a weekly basis. So we don't have to be as locked in, but it's a good point, yeah.
Your point is also well taken.
Okay, so we've had a motion and a second. So all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? I'm in favor, so 500.
So this will be on the next agenda for
Yes.
finalization?
Yeah, that's the way I understood it. All right, next item up is equity, and let's talk about it, Mr. Porch.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So we had our second to last session, and we'll have our last session in May, so we won't have one for April, because April is a short month due to the break. And in our last session, we'll have representation from our student advisory, our DEI student advisory, as well as our advocacy room at the high school level. They'll be coming on to kind of share what their learnings have been this year and to field some questions during part of that session. So hopefully folks can make it to that one.
Thank you. Okay, the next item is equity audit, and that would be Mr. Larkin and Mr. Porch.
Actually, Madam Chair, I'd like just to start that. I think we are, I think Patrick and Ray can talk maybe more of the details, but I think we've been working with Blackprint, the firm. They've completed 4 training sessions with central office staff. I think they've been getting a lot of contextual information because a large bulk of what they're going to be doing is looking at data, and data without context isn't as informative. So I think they've been sort of focusing on the qualitative work, and I think that the next phase of the audit is going to be, they're going to be spending a lot of time with Ms. Miliano in the Student Information Office and getting a lot of the quantitative parts of their work. But the feedback from the staff that participated in the training, and again, Mr. Porch and Mr. Larkin are 2 of those staff members, and they can give you some training. But I thought, it was very positive from the feedback they received. So I just wanted to say that before we got any more details that you wanted to share.
Yeah, and we also, again, want to be transparent. We did have a communication issue with the middle school that we missed a form that was supposed to go home for the student group, where the sessions are recorded, audio recording only, just, and then those are only for Blackprint use when they go back and have a chance to re-listen, and they use it, I think, again, to get better at their own interpretation of the data and make sure, other members of their firm can listen to it. But we didn't include that sign-off form for parents with the middle school permission slips. So that was our mistake when we sent home the information. So just want to say that. We've communicated with middle school families since then. But just want to say it here at this meeting in case people hear bits and pieces of the story.
And Mr. Larkin, Blackprint has agreed to destroy the recordings, and then if they need to redo it or move forward again, we would do so a second time if they need that opportunity.
Correct, yes.
So, and again.
And so lastly, just for information purposes, so folks understand, it is, practice when you do an audit to record. This wasn't something that was or wasn't decided. This was a communication error on our part as a district. So to kind of address some of the concerns around the philosophical organizational requirements of an audit, it is best practice to record, audio record. That said, to Dr. Conti's point, the phases of an audit, we said we would give updates. This is one of them. The idea, macro level, is to triangulate experiences, outcomes through programs. So when Dr. Conti is talking about data, it is to that end. That's going to take them quite a bit of time. Samples of some of the data for folks, discipline data, student data, program data, what kinds of distinguishing, demographic subgroups, how we identify students, staff data, any outcome data, assessment data. These are the data points that are being collected now. That's going to take quite a bit of time, and the programs and all of those things have to be triangulated through this process. So that'll run for a little bit. The next update will likely be some couple of months down the road.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments?
Yes, so that's helpful to hear more about how this first part of the process is meeting with the staff and getting a context, and now they're going to be doing some data dives. I would appreciate it if you would share with me what kind of data they're going to be. You just listed some, and I was scribbling notes, but I'd appreciate knowing all the different kinds of data that they're going to be looking at. And in particular, would it include, and I assume it would, the RTI data? And so that was just a thought. Maybe it's already in the list, but the discipline data is, you mentioned, there's a number you mentioned, and so that would be helpful to me to know all of the areas that they're going to be looking at.
So I think we would be chewing up a lot of time to do that. So I would frame it this way. Any information that creates outcomes for students, whether they be performance outcomes, anything that has a numerical value in a school district, numbers of humans, numbers of educators, numbers of students, how students are identified, programs that students are in, AP courses, ELA performance data, assessment data, anything that can be quantified numerically are going to be those data points are going to be looked at.
Okay, so that would include the RTI, obviously. Okay, good, thank you.
Thank you. And Ms. Monaco?
I just had a question for Patrick. The form that didn't get sent out, what was it permission for? The audio recording?
Yeah, just to sign off that they understood that the session was going to be audio recorded.
Okay. Thank you.
And again, just to drill down on that, and with the audio recording, there is no like, hi, my name is Chris Monaco, and this is my experience. There's no names given during that session as well, just so you know how it works.
Yeah. No, I just wondered what it was, because I
Yeah.
hadn't heard anything about it.
That's good.
Thank you. Righty, and let's move on to the next item, which is Community Health Project Update. Mr. Larkin?
Again, I just wanted to start, and I wanted to actually thank Mr. Larkin and his team, and I'm sure he will
He's on this straight.
identify a lot of the members who've helped. This is the sort of the outcome of the work where we discussed with the committee that Senator Friedman had supported an earmark in the federal ARPA funds for Burlington and Woburn. So there was a $300,000 earmark for some community health needs that both the city of Woburn and the town of Burlington had. And again, that's a great idea, and I know the senator put in a lot of time and effort. But once that was passed, the real time and effort comes in actually executing how those dollars are going to be spent, and can we do that in a way to help families and students. And again, I think there was evidence of that last week, and again, Patrick, your team, yourself, the team from Woburn really deserve a lot of credit, so I wanted to make sure the committee heard about that, and then also learned about some of the ongoing efforts. So.
Yeah, thank you. I want to just say, like, my job is usually to show up and do what Rosemary tells me, so, my secretary, so I definitely have to give her a lot of credit. And there's a lot of people, I'm sure I'm going to forget somebody, but Carrie Lamprey as well, who works very closely as our director of ELL with families. And just to reiterate, in case people didn't hear what we were undertaking, is one of the hurdles, it's again not anyone's fault, but the bureaucracy of when a new family comes to town, particularly, and this is for all, this resource that we're trying to provide is for any low-income families that may be struggling to find health care. But for us this year, the large group that's been impacted is a lot of our immigrant families. So they arrive in Burlington, they come to register for school, and Woburn's dealing with the same kind of challenges for their families, and they're told they need certain health information, which is a lot of cases physicals and vaccinations. And once they register, they have 30 days to get these physicals done. And for some families, I won't say necessarily in Burlington, but some in the two communities in Woburn, found themselves out of school for a long period of time due to lack of access for health care to get the physical done. So, for instance, I've learned this year from talking to some of our new families, health care is different when you're in Guatemala, and the only time you really go to the doctor is if you're deathly ill. You don't do annual physicals. You don't have access to that kind of a resource. So you come to the United States, and what do you need to get a physical? You need a doctor. What do you need? You need health care. They have neither, usually, to start. So we're trying to take it from step one when students come into the district, and we have one of our new assistants in the EL program. He's actually now taken over a high school math class, who's helping with these families and sitting down and going through one by one when they arrive to help if they need mass health. So then they get access to primary care. But even with that, it can take over a month to just get those services in place. So again, to cut to the chase, our goal was to establish every 30 days, because that's the window the DPH likes you to meet when it comes to a student that's coming to a school that they have a physical within 30 days. We're going to do once a month physicals, and Bob and his team helped. We were fortunate to get donated some dividers. I think you may have seen the pictures in Dr. Conti's weekly email. We get dividers. We got some beds or bench, the type of a bench that you would have in your doctor's office when you go for a physical. And then where do we get the healthcare individuals? And Dr. Wayne Altman is a resident of Woburn who has his own practice in Arlington, but he had connections to Tufts. So he got it put on a board at Tufts that who would like to come to Burlington and help with this community endeavor. And they were looking for 10 medical students to come out, and I think they got 14 like that and more that wanted to do it. So we had a number of medical students that came out, met with Dr. Altman, went over how the night was going to flow. They checked in at one spot at Marshall Simons, got their height and weight done, went to the main lobby, got their eye exams, down the cafeteria, down the hallway towards the cafeteria. They got the blood pressure and their heart and lungs listened to. And then in the cafeteria, we had 12 different individual exam rooms set up, so they got their physical exams. And we serviced 22 families between 7 and 9 p.m. that night. And it was really a wonderful experience to see the smiles. The medical students loved the experience. At the end of the night, they asked who will come back, and every medical student that was there said they'd be back in May. So we're looking at May 23rd as our next date. So again, and I want to mention Adriana Mendez Sheldon, who is the Director of Family Engagement from Woburn, and her office played a huge part. Assistant Superintendent Michael Baldessare said in his 20-something years in education, he's never seen something like this, what we pulled off. We also had a woman from DESE, Olga, I forget her last name, I don't have it, Olga Lopez, who's from DESE, came and like just helped. She came and helped bring families through. So it was really just a wonderful experience. If anybody wants to see how it looks on May 23rd, we'll be doing it again from 7 to 9 at the middle school. The other thing, at the same time, we're excited, as part of the grant, we've ordered a vaccine refrigerator freezer, which will allow us to have the vaccines on hand and cut down on the time for vaccines to get done for these families, for the students that may need vaccines as part of their health record. So one of the things you need to be able to do this is you need a certain type of a fridge that checks the temperature routinely, has a backup generator. So we'll have that type of a refrigerator in place, and we'll be able to, our goal is to be able to give these vaccines during the school day or right after school, and try to minimize the interruption to students and families' lives. But I also want to mention at the same time a shout out to the Board of Health, particularly their nurse, Chris Pollock, has been wonderful in arranging schedules that meet the families' needs. We found out that a lot of our families work on Mondays, have Mondays off rather, and so she's been able to set up times during Mondays where the parents can come with the younger students and get the vaccines that are needed. So it's just been a great community effort. Again, I'm sure I'm forgetting some people, but we'll keep reporting back, and it's just been, again, one of the highlights of the year, I think, for a lot of us to be able to see a need like this and talk about what our vision is and get the funding from the state and then be able to actually pull it off. And we'll get better at it, I'm sure, as we move forward, so.
Well, thank you so much for all that detail. I know you've, mentioned a lot of it before, but it truly is amazing that this was all put together, and I thank everyone who helped coordinate all that. I do have one question. Where's the refrigerator going?
At Marshall Simons, and again, Nicole's right here. I want to thank Nicole because one of the things we needed was one of the business managers to take it on, and she drew the short straw. And but she's been great attending the meetings with us, with Dr. Conti and Dr. Crowley from Woburn, and so it's nice for me selfishly to have Nicole in charge of it, but she's been a great resource as we figure out what we can do with these funds, so thank you to Nicole.
Thank you. All right. Any other comments? Okay, we can move. Ms. Simon, you all set? No. Carl?
I'll
Mr.
just
Voss?
kind of echo what you said, Madam Chair, is that it's just amazingly impressive. Thank you, Mr. Larkin, for letting us know and for giving credit to everyone that helped out. It's just so important to be able to bridge those gaps and connect the dots for the families that are not able to do it. And again, I'm just amazingly impressed. Thank you.
We all set? Okay, let's move on to the next item. Culture and relationship thriving. Dr. Conti?
Thank you, Madam Chair. We just have a very brief COVID update again, and I got some nervous emails when I guess the news is talking about some other uptick or surge. I just want to tell everyone just we're okay. If we get any information from Mass DPH or Board of Health, we'll gladly share that. So I think we're going to continue on as we are currently going on. We've seen, again, a relatively steady number of cases, and we are continuing to track that. We report it every week on our week in review, and we're continuing to distribute tests to both staff and to students who have requested it. Mr. Larkin, can families still sign up if they'd like tests?
I can check with the state. I think we do have some excess, but I'll try to message that this week. I don't think they're accepting new signups, but I think we may have had some people that dropped off, so we may have some extra tests. So I'll try to manage and see what the numbers are. But again, I want to reiterate too, I think we had one case, I'll look at Kristen, early on this year, like when the numbers, I think we had 14, which is our last week, which is our highest number so far since we've been back, I think. Or actually, we had, I know we had January, but discounting that time frame. I think we had one classroom where we saw multiple cases right after February break, was it? And we're going to let people in that classroom, if that happens, know that we're seeing multiple cases. And what we would say is we're recommending masks, or you should consider masks. We're not mandating anything, obviously, but just so people are aware if there's any changes in an area that would impact their students. And hopefully, again, there's a minor bump right here we're hearing, and hopefully we don't see a big impact within the schools. It'll be interesting that April vacation's right now too, and we'll certainly follow the results when kids come back from April vacation, as we always do.
Thank you. All right.
Madam Chair, if I could comment also, I do think that it's important that we consider looking at ways to be as flexible as possible. The public health situation is changing. The COVID numbers are changing. The reports are that the wastewater has gone way up, and so we might be expecting some big increases. Right now, we're not seeing that, and I would like us to be prepared to be flexible. I think we need to be able to be responsive quickly to changes in our public health and our safety needs, so that we can protect our students and our staff. I know there are other school districts that are looking at this. I mean, we had a face covering policy, we lifted it. But I think it might be worth looking into considering a policy that would be available, so that if we needed to shift to address public health changes in the public health situation, that it was available. Is that something, Dr. Conti, that you could find out if other districts are doing, or that would be helpful to know? Maybe MASC has something along those lines, because I know there are other districts who are considering that. I don't want us to get brought up short if there is a problem. I'm hoping that there won't be a big surge and that it won't be a big problem, but if there is, I think it's really important that we make sure our teachers are safe and our students are safe and our families are safe. So,
Through the chair, I can certainly look at some of the language that allows that flexibility.
thank you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We're going to go on to finance and facility, or yes, facilities and finance.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is probably the bulk of the meeting this evening, and I was hoping to spare you in your first meeting as chair, but with your permission, may I jumble around the agenda? I apologize. We have Ms. Ciccolini and Ms. Clark here with us. So if you'd like to join us, Nicole, are you ready to do the accommodated account? That would be great. And Deb and Christina are here to answer any questions, and that way we can get them home at a reasonable time. So thank you both for your coming and spending your time. So we can discuss the accommodated account. Again, Ms. Masordo, again, I don't know how much detail to go in, but the accommodated account is actually a town budget where we have some of our special education programming that is funded out of that account. So it's presented separately from the operating budget. So this would be just the programs that are paid for from that account. So they would include the lab collaborative programs, the Burlington Early Childhood Center programs, the developmental skills classroom at Pine Glen, and then the expanding developmental skills classroom that you'll hear about tonight, our out-of-district tuitions and our out-of-district transportation. Nicole, did I miss anything?
No.
So those would be the programs that are included in this account. So with that, Nicole, I'll hand it over to you, and again, Christina and Deborah are here to answer questions if the committee has any.
Okay, so the total overall budget increase for accommodated that we're presenting is a 4.4% increase. You'll notice that there is a lot of shifting between line items, which is sort of the nature of these programs and everything that, which is why they live in the accommodated side of our budget. So for example, our out-of-district tuitions, you'll see is down about 500,000. And it's just, we had 4 day placements and 1 residential placement that either will graduate, age out, or move for next year. And then for lab tuitions, we had some additional enrollments and students that are placed in lab programs for next year. For our transportation, you'll see that the out-of-town transportation cost has decreased a little. We've been sort of moving what we can to our lab network transportation, which basically we go out and bid with the other lab member districts routes so that we can save costs and share buses, which has been a great cost savings to us here. So that decrease there is partially due to that. We do have an additional program, the middle school DSC, that's in here, but I'll let Christina expand on that later. And then we also have a couple of additional position requests through the DSC and BECC. So I'll turn it over to Deb and Christina.
So, just to start, you know, the benefit of this account is not lost on either one of us, and so staff really sees the benefit of having.
Could you speak closer to the mic, please?
Sure. So, as I was saying, the benefit of this account is not lost on either Deb or I, and the staff, our staff, really sees the benefit of having students in the district. So when we're looking at out-of-district placements for some of our higher needs students, these decisions are not made lightly. So we definitely want to make sure that we're very thankful for the town for this accommodated budget. We know that this is a gift. So in talking about like our new programming, we have students at the Pine Glen DSC program that are aging out of elementary school. And so we want to keep them in district. We want to make sure that they're still a part of our community, a part of our programs. And so we felt it was important to make sure that we were planning for those students to enter 6th grade seamlessly, along with their regular cohort of other 5th grade students. So we've already started making plans along with students in our lab medically fragile program at Francis Wyman, making sure that we have a high population of Burlington residents in that program, and again, making sure that they're to move along with their cohort, their classmates, onto 6th grade. So working with the lab program, working with the current DSC, working with New England Center for Children, who helps us collaborate with the DSC, working with staff, working with Nicole, Carrie Purchase over at the middle school, Jackie Vino, the team chair over at the middle school, Donna Goodell at lab, making sure that we are planning appropriately, not only for space, but for teachers, instructional staff, and any other program needs. And so I think I've touched upon it, and then you with the BECC.
So the addition for the BECC is we're asking for a school psych dedicated to the Early Childhood Center. In the past, we've used the school psychs from the other buildings to help us with our 3-year reevaluations or some observations. The school psychs at all the buildings are just, they're overrun in their own buildings. So to have them come and see us, and they're not always familiar with our students because they're not spending time there. So a school psych for us would help with observations and student evaluations, especially 3-year reevaluations, but also to work on that social emotional piece. You know, we've been talking for a while about that social emotional piece, especially with COVID, just to strengthen some lessons. We do have a social worker that works with us 2 mornings a week, and to work collaboratively with her to do that. The other benefit of having a dedicated school psych to the preschool is a lot of our programs feed into our district programs. So for the DSC, our students turn 3, we do an evaluation. Their 3-year reeval could be at the beginning of their kindergarten year. And so that school site could help out at the DSC with some of those evaluations as well, to take some work off of the school site who's there, but also to work with someone who knows them and their distinct needs based on their disabilities. So that's what we're asking for that.
Again, Madam Chair, I just want to make sure I reiterate, because we were very concerned about having these students age up, first of all, with space. So I think Ms. Purchase did identify some space at the middle school. Bob, you've been working at, I think we have to do some work to make some adjustments to a bathroom that's on that hallway, so that our students, 2 bathrooms, so our students can use those facilities. We're also having a lot of trouble hiring people, as you can imagine. I'm sure you're hearing that in the news. And I think Christina came up with a really creative solution for the DSE for next year. So I don't want to steal any of your thunder, but you mentioned that you were working with New England Center for Children, which is, again, a very well-known resource that we use. They'll be providing the teacher and the BCBA, or
The clinical supervisor.
the clinical supervisor for the middle school program for next year. So what we didn't want to do is make plans to have this program and then not be able to find a qualified staff member to do that. So this gives us a runway to have the kids transition with their classmates, and then gives us next year to really try to find or develop a teacher to take over that classroom as the students age up. And again, I just want to thank you. That was a very creative solution and allowed us to have a very high-quality program from day one, and not waiting. So we'll be partnering with, again, the New England Center for Children moving forward. So again, I thought that was a part of it. Nicole, what's your estimate on the what are you estimating circuit breaker at next year?
Increase.
I estimate fully funded. So originally, when I first came into the district, we were working on spending the money that we receive in that same year, so spending our reimbursement in the same year that it's spent. So to sort of take the guessing game out of, what the state is going to ultimately end up funding circuit breaker at, so we don't end up in a jam. We've slowly been sort of building so that now we're spending it the year after. So when you receive circuit breaker reimbursement funds, the state says you have 2 years to spend them. So now we're assuming it fully funded, so we're working off of what we've received in this year that we're anticipating to spend for next year.
So again, that's a significant change, but a significant benefit as well, because we're working from real numbers. So again, Nicole, thank you for making that that transition, because we used to have to underestimate, and then we weren't sure what would happen at the end, and we have to square up. So I think that's there. There's not really a guideline on the accommodated account, so we've been working from the 3.75. This is over that. But I think this was, again, a 4.4 from, historically is a very reasonable increase on the accommodated. This is the information that we have now. This budget is built student by student. If we have move-ins this summer or other program adjustments that need to be made, then certainly we'll come back to the committee. You also all know that as part of the Student Opportunity Act, that transportation is also going to be eligible for circuit breaker moving forward. I think next year it's up to 75% of out of district. So again, we should be getting more state money back for transportation moving forward, which is one of the few benefits districts like Burlington receive from the Student Opportunity Act. So again, I think we'll go from there. And again, want to not miss an opportunity. Deb and Christina, thank you very much. I think that, again, the BECC, the DSC, our lab programming, our out-of-district programming serve some of our children who need our support the most. So again, please make sure you pass on our gratitude to the staff who work incredibly hard with all of those student populations, and I know you guys do as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Any questions or comments?
Yes.
Yeah, I also want to thank your staff and thank you all for the work you do with our children and the planning you've been doing to make sure that they can stay in Burlington. It's just really wonderful to see that. I also want to thank the town. I want to reiterate what Ms. Ciccolini mentioned, that not all towns have an accommodated account, and it's pretty obvious that if the out-of-district tuitions can change by $500,000 in 1 year, depending on the age of a student or the type of disability and type of program, we need to meet the needs of all of our students, but we have no control over what the cost will be. And having this be a separate accommodated account is just so valuable to all of us. And it's valuable to every student in Burlington because it means we can count on the budget we have for the rest of the students in Burlington. So I want to also thank the town. And I just as a clarification with the circuit breaker, so when we get reimbursed from the state, does that then go to the accommodated account because that's what it's paying for? Does it go to this account? Is that correct?
Through the chair. So there, it's actually held in a separate circuit breaker fund.
Okay.
But it can only be used for tuitions.
Separate account, okay. Only for tuition, okay. But now there's a new category for transportation, perhaps, that Dr. Conti mentioned from the Student Opportunity Act?
Yes, they're phasing in reimbursement for transportation.
Good, okay. I just think that it's a lot of money, but it's being so well spent to take care of our children and make sure they're being educated, so thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Monaco?
Yeah, Nicole, I have a couple of questions for you, and then I have one for Christina. The transportation that's paid for by the accommodated account, is it only out-of-district special ed, or is it all special ed?
No, both in town and out of town.
Okay. Next question. Does the lab tuition get high enough to trigger circuit breaker?
Yes. Yes.
But it can't be much. Is it just a little over, a lot over, or what?
I'd have to check, but I'd say probably around 15,000-ish.
Okay. And Dr. Conti tells me that you worked with the selectmen to get permission for the new program that's moving to Marshall Simons to be covered by the accommodated account, by the agreement we have.
Yes, so
with them.
I think it was about 2 weeks ago, we had a discussion with Paul Sagarino and John Denizio.
Oh, good. And so they were open to having this new program covered by the accommodated account as well as the existing one at Pine Glen.
Yes, and they also are, usually want to try to make sure that we have a sort of a cost benefit here so that, like, we can show that building these programs in-house actually does save money.
Yeah,
So
I get
that,
it.
the cost of an out-of-district tuition plus the transportation cost for those students
Exactly.
is actually more expensive than keeping them in-house and building the programs here.
Okay. And Christina, how many students do you think will be in the new program as it begins?
Sorry, thank you. So currently slated for next year, there are 3, but the following year, there's a large group of students coming in, 7.
7?
Mm-hmm.
And just because I'm curious, was there a lot of parent involvement, CPAC involvement in making this addition at the middle school?
So I worked with the current parents of the students that were moving on to the 6th grade for both the lab program and also with the DSC program. So the current 5th grade parents are the ones that I've had been meeting with to talk about programming and what that looks like moving on to next year.
So you've got 3, are they all Burlington students, or they're not?
For the DSC, they're all Burlington students.
All right, so you don't have lab students in there as well?
No, lab is a separate program.
Okay. And how many students, parents chose to not send their students, but to look for out-of-district placements?
Currently moving from 5th grade to 6th grade?
Yeah.
None,
Okay,
because we're still collaborating. So New England Center for Children
Right.
Works with our DSU program and our preschool program. And so most of those parents have been involved and understand the benefit of that. And so working in partnership and collaboration with NEC to move the program into the middle school, I think has been a benefit. And I think that I don't want to put words in their mouths, but I think that there is some comfort level in knowing that we're proactively planning to make sure that we're getting highly qualified teachers through NEC to help build this program at the middle school.
and how many staff members from New England Center for Children will we actually be paying salaries for out of the accommodated accounts?
So it will be one full-time lead teacher and then one part-time clinical supervisor. So similar to what we don't pay for a full-time teacher through NEC for the DSC at the elementary. It will just be, that would be something new
Okay,
for the middle school, but we do pay for the clinical supervisor.
so it's 1.5 salaries?
Correct.
And there must be more staff, no? Yes?
So, yes, so we would have along in there our IAs that we would need for that population, and also looking at expanding our OT, PT, BCBA type roles.
And Nicole, how are those individuals paid? What, are they out of the accommodated account or out of the regular school budget?
Yes, so everything that Christina just mentioned, including the additional teachers and IAs, are all accommodated under the middle school DSC program teachers and instructional staff line.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Any other questions or comments? Okay. Thank you very much. You said all I wanted to say, Martha, so there's nothing more to add, but thank you. Appreciate everything.
We can do that next. And again, that's my, Madam Chair, there's one more budget item, and it's my omission.
Thank you.
If, and again, I apologize, but like I said, I tried to spare you from jumping around, but if we could just do, is it the nursing budget?
Yes.
And again, it was my omission, so Ms. Conley is here online. If you wouldn't mind just getting through the nursing budget, and I believe that's the last budget that we have to do through the operating, is that correct?
Yes, and it's level funded, and there's no additional position request, but Barbara wasn't able to make it to the last meeting, so.
And so we did want to make sure that while Barbara is here, that we, I'll say use the I pronoun. Barbara, are you there?
I am.
So Barbara, I just wanted to thank you, and please pass on our gratitude to your nursing staff. I think the last 2 years have certainly tested all of us, but I do believe you and our nurses were greatly taxed in terms of making sure that all of our staff and students were safe in their return to school. So I didn't want to miss the opportunity. One of the reasons her budget got extended to this evening is she couldn't make the last school committee meeting. So Barbara, please, again, pass on our thanks and thank you.
I will. Thank you for the school committee, Eric and Patrick, for all the support that you've given us the last 2 years. Who would have known that we would have gone through a pandemic? Not sure I would have quite taken the job that but we got through it working together, being positive, and creating a safe environment for the whole school community. So thank all of you for all of your support.
Again, if there are any questions, but again, the budget is, I think, level funded literally, and I think Barbara did a great job using the resources that she has. So again, she's available to answer any questions.
Anybody have
Thanks,
any
Barbara.
questions? Yes, thank you very much. Martha?
I don't have any questions for Barbara. I just have a comment when we're done.
No
with
comments?
that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other comments or questions? All right. There's no action we need to take, correct? Because I didn't see any paperwork on this one.
No.
Okay, thank you. Ms.
So
Simon?
if that's the last of our operating budget reports, I just want to appreciate and notice how most of these budgets came in level funded, and the work that's being done to be as efficient as possible, to use the money wisely. We do have a generous town that supports our school district, but I do see that the staff here use the money wisely and try to keep to level funded when possible. So I wanted to sort of thank all the departments that have worked hard to come in with these budgets. So, and of course, for you, Nicole, Ms. Kasha, to work with everybody to get this budget in. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Simon. Okay, we ready to move? Do you want to move on to Fox Hill next, or is there, you want to change the order on something else?
Madam Chair, I'll try to do a few changes moving forward. Again, there will be a budget hearing on April 26th, which is our next meeting right after break. So we need to post that agenda, and you should be getting your packets this weekend. So it'll be a little bit early, but we're trying to prepare it ahead of break. But on the next meeting, again, on April 26th, after the public hearing, is when the budget sort of becomes not a working document, but becomes the school committee budget at that time. And then we'll be concurrently working with Ways and Means Subcommittee. So that's the timing of things going forward. So Bob, we have some standing agenda items with Fox Hill and the Burlington High School, and then we have Safe Routes to School, so as a preview. So what's the latest on Fox Hill?
Nothing new. I have been communicating with MSBA. We've had a couple questionnaires to fill out in regards to the upcoming meeting, which we're not scheduled for yet. There already are agendas for the meeting in April, and we're potentially looking to be on their May meeting. But once we have confirmation, I will share that. One thing we will have to consider at one of our SBC meetings is the current chair. If that person will continue or not continue, I'm not sure if that's a conversation for tonight or not, but Tom Murphy is the current chair, so.
Yeah, we need to discuss that later, I think.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, so again, we can just set, so we haven't gotten a firm board date yet for the Fox Hill project.
My understanding is depending on how this meeting goes, if some of those meeting agenda items are going to roll into the next meeting or not. And so we'll know after that meeting whether or not we'll be in the May's meeting.
Again, the meeting you're talking about is not a Burlington meeting, it's the board meeting of the Massachusetts School Building Authority.
Correct. MSBA board meeting, yes, which we are not invited to yet.
Okay. So that's really the next step for us, is getting the MSBA board to approve our project, moving into the next phase, which is called the
Feasibility study.
The feasibility study. All right.
Any comments or questions? Okay.
Okay.
Let's move on to the high school.
No news to update except to state that I will be sharing the document. Again, I'm going to state it as a draft document, but that is the summary report from the 4 vendors, including the estimated numbers on what it would cost for an HVAC feasibility study here at the high school. The reason I need to share that, unless you all want me to print it, it's 121 pages. So I'm going to share it first with you all, and then if anyone needs it printed and whatnot, I can make that happen, and at some point we'll post it on the website and make that available to who wants to read it. I think at a future meeting we can discuss it. There's been no new updates that I'm aware of. We know that repairing or replacing the HVAC system here in the high school is going to trigger our 30-30 rule, which means that we're going to have to meet accommodations, bringing this building up to the current code, and potentially looking at somewhere between the $70 to $85 million, which does not include any cosmetic or instructional updates to any classrooms, including science labs. So if we wanted to have those discussions, that would be an additional cost. If we were to rip down ceilings, it would include replacing ceilings, but again, HVAC upgrades, electrical, plumbing upgrades, and any ADA compliant or code triggers that we needed to upgrade are included in this feasibility study.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? Okay.
Yes, yes.
Ms.
Yeah, I was sort of waiting to see. As you know, I am eager to make sure this project keeps moving forward. We've been talking about doing it in the 8 years I've been on the school committee. Some things just take a long time, and some things maybe we missed opportunities in the past, but I don't want to miss opportunities now. So I'd like to ask Dr. Conti if there's a way that you might suggest that we, is there a way we could get started? We have a feasibility study report, which is, it's like we have a Fox Hills School Building Committee, and we're still waiting to do the feasibility study. We went ahead to get the feasibility study done with the high school. Okay. We went ahead and got the feasibility study, which I think is a good thing. We didn't keep waiting, even though we didn't hear back from MSB. We didn't get support from MSBA. And town meeting also generously gave us money to do these reports the last couple of years in our capital warrant articles. I don't have a filter on my mic, sorry. So I would like us to move forward. Dr. Conti, do you have something to suggest of how we might move forward with this?
Through the chair, Ms. Simon, again, I guess I've had some experiences that I can convey to the committee that in a similar situation where nothing would preclude the committee from forming a building committee for Burlington High School, even without MSBA, being in an MSBA grant program. The town locally funded the study and the design. So we could, again, borrow from the MSBA process in terms of creating some different roles. The HVAC replacement may be as much or more than building the new Fox Hill School, so it would probably warrant that level of support or scrutiny. I wouldn't see it as sort of just a local, like a in-district job. We could probably use some expertise. So I think if you could maybe give us some time to put some thoughts down together. I'm not sure tonight I'll be complete, but if we could put it may be that we have two building committees operating concurrently, one for Fox Hill and one for the high school. My understanding, and again, Mrs. Monaco, you have to correct me, I believe we had two building committees at some point for Memorial and the middle school sort of operating independently, focusing on both projects. So we could, again, do something similar to that.
There were two committees, two different committees.
Two different committees. And that way we could get some shared expertise, and if there are people who are interested, particularly in the high school project, I think it would give it maybe the attention that you feel it's lacking, Ms. Simon, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, but I think might create more of a sense of urgency if that's an accurate thing for me to state. Like I said, I wouldn't put words in your mouth, but so Bob and I can work on maybe a building committee for the high school, and obviously the school committee would have final approval on that, and then the Fox Hill project, after the MSBA board meeting, if our project is approved, will begin to pick up steam, and I think then it would be great to have a separate group of people focusing on just the high school.
Through the chair, also, I know there are other districts nearby that have done school building projects without MSBA support. I think Watertown might have done it, and Lexington, I know, built one of their schools. So perhaps we can see if they used, the MSBA model, or if they had other ways to create school building committees. So I just want to pass on that information.
Absolutely.
But thank you, I think that's a great idea.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Okay. So let's move on to, sorry.
Sorry,
I missed it.
just briefly through the chair. I'm not sure if people at home can hear it, but I can, so there's some static coming through. It's not coming through the WebEx, so potentially it could be a device or someone's phone if the mics are unmuted. Just potentially, so if we could just be cautious of that. Thanks.
Yeah, get her a puffed over there. All right, and then, do you want to talk about the safe routes for school update, please?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So go ahead, Bob.
Again, through the chair. So, first, let me admit that Safe Routes to School has taken a back burner from my efforts. I know back in June, we did apply to be a Safe Routes to School member. There is a one-year waiting list to access funds, but there is plenty that we could have been doing in that time frame. Not that I have some free time, but it's been brought to my attention that we definitely should do this, and I agree it is something that we should. So what I'm asking the school committee tonight, not to vote on anything, but more to be aware that Fox Hill has already had a arrival and dismissal observation. That's with Judy Crocker from Safe Routes to School. Thursday, we have a meeting with Memorial and Marshall Simon's principals to discuss an arrival and dismissal observation at both of those schools. And then we'll look to continue at additional schools after we schedule those two. There are some definitely huge benefits to being a Safe Routes to School member besides just the funds. We can get our community out riding bikes, out walking to school, enjoying the fresh air. So that's one of the major benefits. Secondary, of course, is that potentially we could look for some grant funds available to us for future projects. There's some things that we still need to consider. From a school committee level, we should consider whether or not we want to adopt the wellness policy. That's something that definitely is asked upon us from Safe Routes to School. Also, a travel survey, a recommended 2-week window. And I think now would probably be a good time for us to consider scheduling that before the end of the school year. The survey is something I can send it all to you all to review. It hasn't changed since I believe the last time we shared it. It's not changeable. We can't add or take away things. There's a few questions that are standard where we ask parents, we ask students to fill it out, and for a 2-week window. And then, Safe Routes to School will then use that data to help us in conjunction with the arrival and dismissal observations to kind of give us some recommendations of what they think are some future projects for us. Also, there is some pedestrian bike training that Safe Routes to School is recommending that we consider doing. So that is something that we should possibly look to schedule with either our gym or our wellness teachers or potentially our health teachers. Obviously, we could do that with any of our teachers, any of our staff at all, but it's definitely recommended in either the health, wellness, or the gym curriculum. So I'm sure I'm forgetting something because there's very extensive opportunities ahead of us, but those are the main takeaways that we should consider, or at least tonight, or potentially for the next meeting, for us to schedule a couple of items.
Okay, thank you. And you didn't miss anything. I know you and I have had several conversations over the last week and a half or so after I talked to Judy Crocker in our subcommittee meeting from last week. Yeah, we'll go ahead and roll out that survey, I believe. And if the school committee members want to take a peek at that first before it goes out, we can go ahead and send that out as well. Does anyone else have any questions or comments in regards to this?
I do have one comment. The National Walk, Bike, and Roll to School Day is May 4th. So I've been working with Mr. Rosenblatt to roll that at Fox Hill, but I think that could be something on the table for if Judy's having a conversation with some of the other principals. The suggestion was to roll it out at the school level. So if there's interest for other schools, but and we can talk about, we have one more meeting, but this Safe Routes to School will provide advertise stickers and bookmarks for the kids and stuff. And I do think Fox Hill's in a good spot. I think they have over 100 walkers there, so I think we can get some good buzz going around that as well.
Again, could you restate the date?
Sure, it's May 4th. It's Star Wars themed, May the 4th. I remember it, yeah.
Thank you for that additional information. Anyone else have any questions or comments?
I just, I know this isn't a vote, but yes, and yes, and yes, let's do those. That sounds great. And I'm delighted that the Fox Hill parents and community are taking this on, because Safe Routes to School is something that needs parent and community involvement. We can't just send the kids out to ride their bikes to school without community support or walking, and all those things need the support of the family. So that's really great, and I hope you'll find ways to get other schools interested, and I don't know what ways the district can help, but that would be great.
And I did want to also add that, the goal, again, is to try and find a way for kids to ride their bikes and walk safely as like a group. And also, it's not to take away from people having the ability to take the bus, and it's also them trying to encourage people to take the bus who maybe aren't taking the bus now. So that's all part of what this program's about. So if we can move on, I guess, to the next item, unless anyone has any more comments. The next item is the Summer Best Program discussion.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We're slowly catching up to some agenda items that we put off for the last 2.5 years. This is a conversation that we've needed to have that we just haven't. So again, the Summer Best Program is a program for kids in grades 4 to 8 since 2009. BEST has been educating Burlington elementary and middle school students in the art of theater so they can grow as performers. The workshop portion of the program is for students in grades 1 to 5 and focuses on basic performance skills, culminating in a showcase at the end of the week. This year, the BEST program is scheduled for July 11th through 30th. The cost of the program is $650 per student, and this program is for students, again, in grades 4 through 8. Summer Workshop is a 1 or 2 week program for kids in grades 1 to 5 and is scheduled for July 11th through 22nd. The cost of this program is $200 per week. Again, financial aid is available upon request. So this discussion tonight is to determine if BEST is a school committee sponsored program or whether it's sort of an independent program. And that matters with a lot of Nicole's role in terms of the bookkeeping, and do we pay the staff through our payroll system? Is it something we have to negotiate in terms of contractual rates? Is it so there's some real technical parts of it, but I just wanted to start by saying it's a great program. No one's trying to eliminate the program. We're just trying to make sure it's categorized correctly. And again, my recommendation would be, if this becomes a district program, which I think there is great district benefit, it's for Burlington students, then we can put some policies and practices, procedures around it, so we can be consistent with, again, the how the facilities are being made available, how we are paying the folks who are working at this, and I think we might even be able to provide more financial assistance, again, if it falls under the umbrella of the district. I want to make sure, Nicole, I didn't forget anything.
No, I'm not sure what sources we have available for financial aid. Maybe Mr. Middleton has secured some donations or something that I'm not aware of yet, but just something to keep in mind.
Okay. But it would be something that we can certainly discuss. But I think the decision tonight is, again, my recommendation is that, again, we continue to support the summer program. I think it's worthwhile for kids, but that we move it under the district umbrella so that we can have some, it can follow the controls that we have in place for all of our other district programs.
Yes.
So just to admit my own ignorance, is this run by Mr. Middleton right now, just not through BPS?
It is run by Mr. Middleton and through BPS. So we just have to make it's sort of both, and we can't have it remain in both.
I see. And is there any downside to, is there any disadvantage to kind of bringing it under the district completely?
I don't think there'd be a disadvantage. Again, no one wants to end the program. I'll say that 10 times. We
Yeah.
like the program. We
Yeah.
want it to continue. Again,
Is there any financial difference in terms of paying additional staff if it comes under the school? Or how is that, is it just going to be like a wash and we're just saying it's officially? I'm just trying to understand what we're trying to accomplish.
So, so I think that this sort of all stemmed from our audits like a few years ago, and I think one of the recommendations from the auditor was to determine whether or not this was like a school committee sponsored program. And me and Eric had talked about it, and I think we just never ended up bringing it here. But I don't see any financial disadvantages. I think it would just sort of make sure that all of the parameters and everything that we've set in place on the business end are followed, and give us sort of more oversight there.
So it's allowing us to put some policies in place to make sure that we have checks and balances in terms of what's coming in and going out and who's doing what, and a little more, I don't want to say control, but overseeing of the program.
And again, no one's saying anything
No,
is
no.
going on, but we just,
No.
I just think if it's a district-adopted program, then, because we're paying people through payroll now, isn't that correct?
Yes, but this would allow us to set rates and all that other good stuff.
So
That's what I'm trying, so we're trying to understand what's the advantages, so to
Yes.
speak, right? Okay. Anyone else have any questions or comments?
Yeah, I'm interested, I again, also think it's a fabulous program. I love it. I would like to make it work more smoothly for our business office, and if it's something the audit brought up, I think it's probably the right way to go. I also wanted to know if we have comparable programs that use district facilities, that I don't want to set a precedent of something that we're already not doing, or we are doing, or so that we don't, that it's equitable for different programs that might be using school facilities. And I don't know if you can answer that tonight, or if you wanted to get back to me about it, but that's my biggest concern, is I want to be sure we're doing this comparably, regardless of programs,
Through the chair, again, Ms. Timon, I think that's a great point. I'm just not sure I can answer it off the top of my head right now. I do think our facilities are utilized all summer. I'm not sure if most of the programs, again, if it's a Park and Rec program, they would be under the umbrella of Park and Rec. I'd have to look into some of our athletic programs. So again, I know there's a summer gymnastics program, but let me look at that so I can answer it properly.
Okay.
So again, I know our facilities are used all summer.
Do we need, you want us to, sorry, we have one more question, but do you need a vote on this tonight? Okay. Go ahead, Ms. Monaco.
I agree that the BEST program is really an awesome program, and I think if we're already taking care of the finances, which we should be, I think it is the right thing to do to bring it under the umbrella of the school committee. And I think there are other programs, Martha. On the other hand, of course, I can't think of them. But if there are not, by any chance, this is the first, and there can be more. So I'll make a motion to, what words do you want?
To have the Summer Best program be considered a district program under the auspices of the Burlington School Committee? I don't know. I mean,
Okay,
is that,
that's good.
yes?
That's what I moved.
Got that all, huh?
Okay.
Second.
Okay, seconded, okay. Any discussion, any additional discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? I'm an aye, so 5-0-0.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, and the next item, I believe, is the monthly financial update.
Yes, so you have the revolving fund summary. All of our accounts are in good standing, and no concerns, so just if anyone has any questions, I can answer.
Any questions? Excellent, let's move along.
How about Roger?
Roger?
Or
Sorry.
Melissa?
Oh,
Melissa,
me.
you have a
Sorry.
question? Okay.
I think that's relevant for this, but you mentioned that this was like an outstanding audit item. Is there other outstanding audit items, or is this like the last?
Through the chair, Ms. Massaro, again, I think we're still catching up on some of the
Okay.
COVID-related stuff. I'm not sure to answer that. I don't believe there's any other audit-related
No.
information, but undoubtedly there are things that we put off for 2 years that we're trying to catch up on. So again, not from the business office or audit perspective.
And they remind us on an annual basis if there's anything we're missing, so.
Okay, and then the next is the, pardon me? Yeah, Mr. Riggs, did you have any comments?
No, I'm sort of pleased to see that the health in the cafeteria account is holding strong.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right. Let's move on to the debt planning presentation. Dr. Conti?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just want to thank the town financial team for putting together a presentation on the long-term debt planning and schedule that the town follows, that the school district is a beneficiary of. I wanted to include the copy of the presentation in your packet, so you all have that. I participated remotely, so I didn't see who was in the room. I'm assuming there were school committee members in attendance. And so I think Burlington is well-positioned to fund some of our very expensive building needs that are upcoming. I think timing is something that's important, and I think some parts of the timing are in our control, and some parts of the timing, for instance, on the Fox Hill, might be part of a state-controlled timing perspective. So I think the debt schedule is something that will impact our ability to do projects. And so again, I just wanted to make sure that we thank the town's financial team for putting that together. This was a request of the school committee to get more detailed information. I hope this either met that request, or if we need to follow up, that I would certainly listen to the school committee for the need to follow up or for additional information moving forward. So it's really an informational agenda item, but again, I know it took a lot of time for Mr. Denizio and Mr. Giannino and Mr. Sagarino to put together.
Thank you.
And Whitney.
Any questions or comments?
Yes, I want to thank the town team for putting this together, and it's allowed me to get, when I read all the documents, I do understand it a lot better than I expressed the other night. I do have other questions as I've drilled down in it and would like to continue the conversation. So Dr. Conti, would it be possible for you to arrange for either the committee or I to have a further chance to have this conversation with the town financial team?
Again, of course, I think they'd be willing to answer any questions that folks have. I think the more information we all have, the better decisions we can make, so absolutely.
Thank you.
And again, the most important thing that I took out of it is, while capital projects are incredibly important and we need to continue to make those works, there is at some point a connection between funding capital projects and our operating budgets. And so I just think that's the balance that we just always need to be mindful of. But again, through the chair, if any committee member wants specific questions or information, again, I think Nicole would be a great source for most of that. But if we need to answer questions that we can't do right away, then again, they're always, town's financial team is always available.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. And then I believe I want to add one more. Is any old business anyone wants to discuss?
Yes.
Thank you. Ms. Monaco?
I would like to remind everyone that April is not only Autism Awareness Month, but it's also Child Abuse Awareness Child Abuse Prevention Awareness Month. And I know that we have a policy that all of our staff will be trained in recognizing, attempting to recognize child abuse. And that led me to a request. Could we have a list of all of the required trainings that are done at the beginning of each school year, and who is trained and how we go about it?
We can.
Okay.
And thank you for bringing that up and making everyone aware again. All right, so any other questions or comments on that?
Yeah, I have two comments. One is, at one of our last meetings, we voted on placeholders for the capital warrant articles. And as I reread the minutes, I realized I don't know what all of these are. So could we, at the next meeting, perhaps go through these and explain what they are so that we could know what they are? And sometimes you take things out at the end, and which ones are the ones that we are going to keep, and what are they? Is that scheduled for the next meeting? Okay, thank you. And I also wanted to just repeat for the public that the public hearing on our fiscal '23 budget will be after or during our next school committee meeting on April 26th. So I want to make sure we get that out to the public.
Thank you, Ms. Simon. Any other comments? All right. So we do have a need for an executive session tonight, and the committee has a need for the executive session to discuss the strategy with respect to the collective bargaining if any open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the school district, and the chair so declares, to discuss the deployment of security personnel and devices and strategies with respect thereto, the proposed cybersecurity policy, and the approval of executive minutes. The school committee will only return to the public session for the purpose of adjournment. Anyone want to make a motion to go into executive session?
I move we go into executive session. We need a roll call.
Second.
Ms. Massardo?
It's a roll call.
It's a roll call.
So just say aye.
Ms. Simon?
Aye.
Mr. Foss?
Aye.
Mrs. Monaco?
Aye.
And I say aye. Oh, Mr. Cuna?
I don't know if it's, sorry, through the chair, I'm not sure if it's intentional, but somebody raised their hand on WebEx.
Oh.
So there's a user named Grace.
Okay. Yes, I'll take that. Yep.
Okay.
My name is Grace Janusis, and I'm a parent in the district and a member of CPAC. And I actually had my hand raised a while ago, so I apologize for the delay. It was in regard to, that's okay. It was just my comments in regard to the BEST programs. I just want to make sure, particularly if it's falling under the school committee's kind of supervision, that all children, can you hear me okay? Oh.
Yes.
I just want to make sure that all the children who want to participate in the BEST program are able to access it. I know there's been some challenges in the past with students with disabilities, and I just want to ensure that everyone has an opportunity to participate who wants to, that the supports are provided for them as needed. I just want to make sure I brought that up to the board. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate your comment. Okay, so
We're in executive session.
we're in executive session now. Thank you.